Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's time again for one of our favorite shows. It's time for This Week with Wendy, the one show, the only show that shows you the real SoCal state of mind. With our host, Wendy Ross, who after years of working in Northern California and elsewhere, decided it was time to do something different. And so she did. She created Veracity Real Estate, a bespoke real estate agency, here to give you some real advice, really wherever you are on the spectrum, for all client levels, something you just don't see very often in Southern California. And through it all, she's created a group of data-driven divas, as we call them, people that really dive into the data and make sense of it for all of us here. Let's bring her in, the most sensible real estate person I know around, Wendy Ross. Wendy, hey, welcome.
Good morning, Paul. You know, I have dated dudes too. We can't just make this all about the divas. I
love the fact that you bring in such a wide spectrum of people that we just do not expect to see anywhere else. And today is one of those discussions. But before we go there, give us an update on the market here.
Oh my goodness. Well, hang on. Let's not sell him short. I mean, I do want people to know who's hanging in the wings here.
Okay.
So, and we're going to talk about something pretty heady. We're going to talk about equity, and I mean like social equity, right? And its intersection with real estate, not equity as in, the value of your home.
Right.
And a few weeks ago, I had the opportunity, as you know, to attend and cover, as a member of the media, the National Association of Realtors IOI Summit. So we looked at up-and-coming trends and companies in prop tech or property technology in that space. But this week, I'm honored that I've been invited to cover the 2022 Equity Crowdfunding Week produced by Startup Starter. Equity Crowdfunding Week, or ECW, is billed as the world's biggest investment trade show. And during this 3-day immersive experience at the Tube Science Studio in LA, attendees are going to try products in person, check out new electric vehicles, and discover some of the most innovative companies you can invest in. And that's what we're going to talk to Lorel Scott about. So,
including a housing tract. I didn't know that there was such a thing as a housing tract. Where they were going to talk about startups and new ideas. There's no new ideas in housing.
No, it's not about a tract. It's about tech.
Yes.
So,
but I'm saying, but they have a track within this program where they talk about different things. I think they have a LA County supervisor coming out to talk about housing.
Absolutely do. Yes, exactly. And that's going to be, the bulk of that is on Thursday, but who can carve out time to get up there for all 3 days. And we'll get into it with Mr. Scott in just a moment about how you can go online and see, what is happening and when, and check out the agenda. So Lorel Scott is the co-founder and COO, head of global partnerships at Startup Starter. And he's a serial entrepreneur known as a super connector. So it's really no wonder that he prides himself on building multi-level partnerships across all industries. So, and that aligns him with their various functions, and he's able to help them leverage themselves for this growth. So, of course, as a real estate market advisor, I want to hear his thoughts on the real estate startups and balancing some equity therein. I mean, because we've all talked about the barriers to home ownership, and Lorel's going to talk about the barriers to growing wealth and generational wealth. So he's right on in step with us, and I'm digging it. But now that we know who's in the wings, I am going to make you hang on for just another minute while I do talk about what happened last week in real estate. So it's fascinating, and I live in the details, but as we get closer and closer to December 31st, we would normally expect everything real estate related to slow down. You would expect to see fewer homes on the market. You would expect to see fewer homes selling. You would expect to see prices softening a little bit, because that's normal. And last week, we really kept pace with the week prior. We had almost exactly the same number of active listings on the market. We had almost exactly the same number of homes go under contract. Of course, it's the first week of the month, so there were far fewer sales. But what I thought was really, really interesting was that our median price in Orange County ticked up 2%. So the fact that it's wobbling up and down as we get into the end weeks of this year really does tell us that there is price stability and market stability here. It's taking us about 2.5 months now if we were going to sell all the active inventory, and 60 to 75 days is normal for the end of the year in Orange County. So we've reached a point that really looks like parity. We're no longer selling for 101% of the list price. We're now down to a really solid normal 98.5%. So It's very normal. And for once, I'm really excited to say that. So it's kind of boring, but I'm going to embrace that. So that's the market this week. So back to the fun stuff. Let's get back to Lorel Scott, of Startup Starter, and welcome, Lorel.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I cannot begin to express how excited I am about this. And we've talked a little bit off mic, so just so you people know, Lorel has shared with me that as a minority founder, that he's passionate about helping the underrepresented entrepreneurs find a path forward. And some of these people have world-changing ideas, and they're going to make an impact. And he's helped create a place for them to be supported, as well as a platform for learning. So, can you tell us what Startup Starter is all about and what that means?
Yeah, so Startup Starter, we are a business education learning platform. So for those people who don't really know what that might mean, if you are familiar with Masterclass or Netflix, we are basically Masterclass for business. We create high production value educational content within our studios, as well as with partnerships around the globe and companies that are making a difference when it comes to entrepreneurship and business. And then we have a streaming platform where people can come and learn. Right now, there's a huge disconnect when it comes to learning entrepreneurship, where you can go online and type in business education or entrepreneurship or business entrepreneurship,
Mm-hmm.
and you find universities only. And so we want to be the destination where if you want to learn, which our motto is learn business here, if you want
Mm-hmm.
to learn, you can come to one destination. What we found is that during COVID, um, everyone had to stay in, but so many businesses were started, people were losing their jobs, and businesses were closing, where people were starting new things. But why is there not one place where you can go to find everything that you need instead of having to go through all the internet to figure it out? And so we have been in the works as a startup that started during COVID to flip that on its head so that you can have one destination to find and learn everything about business and raising capital and venture capital, all of that.
So, just since COVID, you've built a global community? That's incredible.
Yeah, thank you. I
My,
mean, it's constantly growing, and we're just trying to move the needle constantly as well.
that is fantastic. Now, you told me once briefly that both you and your partner are technically minorities, and technically so am I. It's ridiculous, as a woman.
Yeah.
But, right? So, how did you two find each other, and what was it? Was it just one of these conversations one day over beer going, hey, we should do this? Or how did this happen?
It's so funny. We both started our corporate jobs within a month of each other. We worked in separate offices here in LA,
Mm-hmm.
and then because we came in together around the same time, our bosses took us to dinner. And then we went on working in two separate offices, learning the business. And then one day we ran into each other at a networking event here in Santa Monica, California. And then we had a conversation about the fact that everyone, in order to generate leads or have conversations with people, I mean, the brain only can keep connected with at most 100 people at a time. And
Mm-hmm.
when you're going to these different events throughout the city every week, you're getting all these business cards, you're having to put them into Salesforce maybe.
Right.
You kind of lose track of who you're connecting with. And so we wanted to find a better way to allow people to connect in one place. And so that's where Startup Store was derived from. And yeah, it was a really unfortunate turn of events, specifically for just the world when COVID hit.
Mm-hmm.
We had just launched the site like 3 weeks before, and so people needed a place to go, and so they gravitated towards still connecting through Startup Starter. We started as just a community on Slack and grew to having our own community that's very similar to like LinkedIn or Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And since then we have scaled and pivoted and became a business that has different tentacles to it to be able to help entrepreneurs and founders and people who are looking to start a business
That
and
is
further their dream.
That's spectacular. So you were riding this wave that
Yeah,
just happened to be there, and little did you know it was going to be a tsunami, and here you are, global,
yeah,
in less than
yeah,
three
yeah.
years.
Yeah,
I'm,
it's a really great feeling. There have been many of opportunities that have come along with this, many connections, and as you said, that I've been known as the super connector. I don't take that lightly because I want to be able to connect people. I want to be a person that people can come to and ask a question and find what they need, or I'm going to direct them into the right place for someone. If I can help them, someone that can help them within either my community or community that I'm connected to.
I respect that so much because you want to actually bring true value. So,
Absolutely.
how does this, how does your vision with Startup Starter dovetail into the Equity Crowdfunding Week? And how does that support your vision?
So there are a lot of equity crowdfunding if people don't know, equity crowdfunding is a bill that was passed by the Barack Obama administration back in 2012 that is really now making a presence even further. But there's some disconnects in that, and there's a lot of people who don't know that this is available to them, that it exists, whether it's a real thing or what is it at all. And so myself and co-founder, we found a huge opportunity to make a difference because we are minority. I'm Black, LGBT, queer, and my co-founder is Colombian. He's a veteran. We wanted to open that up so our communities, marginalized communities, Black communities, white communities, Latinx communities can understand exactly what equity crowdfunding is. We have some amazing mentors, sponsors, people that have really talked to us. The biggest piece that we realized and the disconnect that was in this industry is that people, for one, they did not know. Two, this industry as a whole had not come together in almost 10 years since this bill was passed. Everyone kind of just went their own ways and launched these different platforms that you can raise on and all these different technologies, but there had not all come together. So last year was our first opportunity virtually because of COVID to bring all of these leaders and these thought leaders together in one place through our streaming platform into our live stream. And we had our first conference, 2021 Equity Crowdfunding Week. We really wanted to hone in this year on the companies that are raising through equity crowdfunding and how do we put the information out there so that other companies can get involved and raise capital faster, have access to money quicker to grow their business to the next level, while at the same time, they now have an opportunity for creating more generational wealth and more people who believe in their product to invest in them because of this bill. And we can go into more of how that actually works. It's pretty simple.
And as you speak about this, two things came to my mind, two sides of the same coin, probably. And I think that a lot of people fear what they don't know, what they don't understand. And so I assume a lot of people were probably thinking, oh, this crowdfunding is just a scam. It's just a con. They're just taking, a little bit of money from a lot of people. But what is really happening is that these entrepreneurs who are brilliant, who truly need the money, are getting financial resources they couldn't get any other way because banks aren't going to touch them in most cases. And the investors don't have to be the wealthy, accredited investors that normally are the only ones that get to play in these waters, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the biggest message that I try to put out with this, right? Investing is no longer for the 1%. When this bill was passed, if you think about this and to put it in simpler terms, if you think about GoFundMe or Kickstarter, right? Those companies, you can invest in the project, you can invest in someone's cause. It could be their dog has cancer, which mine did last year. And I raised some money for his costs. But this is a little different, right? So before this bill was passed, if you want to invest in companies like Uber or Lyft, right, and have equity in those companies, you could not, unless you were a accredited investor, which is an angel investor, VC, private equity, you could not invest if you were the 1%, basically.
Right. You had to have hundreds of thousands of dollars in liquid assets. And come on.
Yeah, almost $2 million in liquid assets to be able to become an investor, right? And so this whole idea came about of a retail investor through equity crowdfunding, this bill being passed, is that anyone 18 years of age can invest in companies pre-IPO, which is pre-going public on the New York Stock Exchange, for as little as $100 or 5% of their annual income into equity crowdfunding companies, and companies that they actually believe in, that they can track and say, hey, I believe this company will go public. I've been tracking this company. I can give feedback to this company. I can be part of this company's growth. I can try out their products ahead of time. And everyday people have the opportunity to be able to do that. So there's sides of the coin, right? There
Mm-hmm.
is the startup that can now raise equity crowdfunding, and they can raise money to grow their business faster. While on the other side, even though there is risk in investing, there's risk in going to the casino, right?
Right.
Even though there is that risk, you now anyone can invest in these companies and
Mm-hmm.
have the potential to also create generational wealth for them, their families, by making the right choice to and tracking the right companies to invest in the next unicorn, to invest in the next Uber or Lyft. They have now this opportunity because of this bill that many people do not know how to access or that it
Mm-hmm.
even exists. And every
Right.
time I talk to someone, whether it's Uber or someone I'm riding with in their Uber or Lyft, they
Mm-hmm.
don't know what it is. I had the opportunity to explain that to people. And the more that I do that, it really pushes me to say, like, there is a huge impact and there is a voice that I can have in this industry to help more people and to reach more people, to reach more companies, to reach more startups, to reach more families, so that they are aware that they have options of in different ways of investing or making money to grow their company.
Right. And the population out there, I think, has gotten to a point where, and thank goodness young people are so socially aware that they want to invest in things they believe in. They want to put their money where their mouth is. They want to vote with their feet. And you give them an environment through this industry to do that. And I can't help but think how proud so many people must have been, the ones who first invested in Boxable. We had that great quick conversation yesterday with Galliano. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I'm so excited about Boxable. I think
Yeah.
that's the like for people to actually see it in person, especially if you've invested $100 or whatever you might have invested into Boxable.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you did that and you haven't seen it in person, 2022 Equity Crowdfunding Week is your opportunity. But not only that, like you get to see other cool companies that you can invest in, companies that are actually building amazing products, have raised from the crowd, have really cool ambassadors. We have this solar vehicle that's coming, that's being unveiled for the first time. You really get the opportunity to see the coolest things you can invest in. This is
Mm-hmm.
not your typical conference, and I try to really through my social media. If you look at our website, startupstarter.co/ECW, like you can really see like we kind of make equity crowdfunding sexy because it's not necessarily a sexy industry. And so we're bringing a whole new feel and vibe to this. So it's not your typical conference. It's not your typical conference venue.
Mm-hmm.
We're changing the way that investing looks. And so this is really an investment conference for everyone, whether you are a student. We have really cool student deals right now, and the tickets. We have day passes that you can take advantage of and come see really cool companies you can invest in, for less than almost less than what we're putting in our
Well,
gas tanks these days,
and
right?
you nailed it. This is not just your typical, trade show or whatever. I mean, you're
No.
representing companies who have come together that are putting forth technology and or products that are really for the betterment of the world. And I think this is best reflected in your choice of keynote speaker. You've got the LA County Supervisor Holly Mitchell doing the keynote. So tell us about what was behind that decision, which delights me, by the way.
Yeah. I'm very excited to have Holly Mitchell come and speak and do a keynote on the future of housing. That's a big conversation in LA County. I'm sure it's a big conversation that happens down in Orange County as well.
Mm-hmm.
And kind of backtracking to what you said a moment ago as to like, us being different, it's not your typical space. What we really want to bring into this, and that is not in many industries, is culture.
Yes.
We want to bring culture to equity crowdfunding, to investment. The investment is for everyone now. It's not just for one particular group of people. It's for everyone. And so we bring a lot of culture into this. For me, like I'm African American, I'm a Black man. I'm like there's a lot of Blackness to the conversations that we're having. We were talking about the future of investment in minorities and the democratizing access around that. We have a great panel put together with that. But it's culture. If you look at our site, it's very much culture in what we're doing. But for me, Holly Mitchell, right? Looking at her mission and what she's trying to do in the city, she's one of the first Black women to be in the position that she's in. And so we wanted to have that conversation and give her the opportunity to talk about what she sees and what the future of housing might look like as we enter in, as of today, a new mayor of Los Angeles, who we're voting on, right? So get out and
Right.
vote, please. But we're voting that in. And so these conversations are very important, along with all the other additional conversations, which is why we put multiple tracks in place around these and in different industries.
I love it. I so support that. And of course, again, it being a real estate show, I want to talk a little bit about the real estate session that you're having on the future of real estate, and how it's going to be revolutionizing this, what, $38 trillion market. And you've got a
Yeah.
panel. Tell us about who's on the panel and why.
So we have companies like Arrived Homes. We have a company called Nada Homes, and we have companies that are backing the technology of these companies. And there's a few more really great companies that are in the new age of real estate and what that looks like. The biggest thing here, and that we want to really talk about, we have companies and platforms that are investing not only into homes, but into cities, into hotels, that everyday people now have the opportunity to invest in those particular things, right?
That is
And
fascinating.
yeah, investing in land, right? You can invest in land now by having little shares of equity into these different platforms. But what we're seeing now in the industry of real estate, when it comes specifically around equity crowdfunding and specifically these platforms, is that when you look at how the housing market is now, you don't necessarily have the opportunity to go purchase a home right now. Interest rates are super high,
So true.
all these different things. And so these platforms have access to these properties that you can now go invest small amounts into these to have equity shares in properties that they have available.
There's a lot to
And
be
then
said for that fractional ownership. I love it.
fractional ownership in these properties. And so we have fractional ownership in these properties get multiple people in them, and then some of them take that money, renovate and make these properties even better, raise the property value of that home, and then they take money from the equity in those homes, and then they go buy another one. So now, not only do you have equity in one property that you now invested in through this platform, you now have equity and ownership in multiple properties of these homes, right? And so think about like a timeshare of ownership, right? You invest in a timeshare every year, but you don't necessarily own that timeshare, right? You get access to it, right? You get a certain piece of usage, but now you have ownership in these homes, right, in equity, and then now you also get to go stay at those homes as well on these platforms. And so a lot of them do them in different ways. You have the same thing going on with hotels and things like that, but that changes the way we look at equity crowdfunding when it comes to real estate. There has been a controversy around that, which I think, there's two sides to that, right? Some people get opportunity for ownership, but it also kind of has a play of like it raises property values for some people who want to buy their home themselves. And so I can't really speak too much to that, because I don't have, I can say one side from another. I am a homeowner myself. And so there are a few conversations to be had around that, and we'll have those conversations while we're at Equity Crowdfunding Week as well.
Oh, I look forward to it, because that is a highly nuanced conversation. You're right. It's not black or white.
Yeah. No, it's not.
Yeah. And my husband and I bought a home in a neighborhood that was heavily Latino, and people were, saying, oh, they're going to give you a lot of grief because you're so very white. But we're starting to see that it's a very blended community now. And I like that it's not slanted one way or the other. It's blended, but that's just my opinion. But
I don't know. I think that there's still a slant when it comes to minorities. I think there's still a slant when it comes to minorities buying property. When it comes to loans, we've seen it.
There's no question about that. Yeah, I was talking about just about the complexion of my neighborhood and the colors of the people that live there. But no, that it's been sadly proven that there is a huge bias when it comes, conscious or unconscious. I don't know, probably both. But it's been proven that two appraisers can go out to the same house, and if it will, was that TV show. If the family was African and their photos and things were up, the appraised value was different than if their photos weren't evident and the other appraiser didn't know who lived there. It's shocking.
It's shocking. It's sad, and we still see it. And as much as we try to change it, that will still occur. We can continue to try to do things. There are bills and laws and legislation that can be put in place. But I think that we're in a place, of evolution of trying to make a change. And I think that we're seeing it. I think social media and news and TV, right? It elevates it even more now. So you see it more now than you would have years ago or a decade ago. I think that it's never really left. We're still just having that conversation, but we can have an entirely different show on that.
Well, we're going to have a lot of conversations in the future. We are, Lorel, and I have to take this back to one of the first comments you made about when you and your partner started your company, and that you understood that a key part of it needed to be the culture. And if we all just participate in creating a culture that's healthy for everybody, then we're going to move this ship. It's going to take a while. But, we have to have exactly these conversations, because not to is just unthinkable. I don't want to think about what will happen if we just stop talking about it.
Yeah, and for me, it's not even just talking about it. I have tasked myself with being the voice for the people who are underrepresented, the people that are underserved, so I can have a place in, for me, it's all about legacy. What is the legacy that I leave behind? What is the legacy of what people are going to remember of not who I was or what I'm doing, or oh,
Mm-hmm.
he's that, but what did I do for people to really help them get ahead in life, and have the opportunities to access the same kind of rooms that I do. I got into a place when I was working in corporate and going to all these events, and that I would walk in the room and I'd either be the only African American person,
Mm-hmm.
or I would be the only LGBTQ queer person in the room. And for me, it was just like enough is enough. How do I get more people in this room to access the information that I am obtaining, the information and the people that I
Mm-hmm.
have access to? And I feel like I've made a name for myself in equity crowdfunding. I work really hard to have these conversations, and I'm very steadfast in the mission that myself and our organization is on when it comes to the democratization of modernized communities.
I
And
love
that's
it.
all communities across here, our middle America to
Mm-hmm.
our east to our west. Like, what can we do to make a difference? And we need to have the conversations so that equity crowdfunding investments reach the masses across all of our communities.
Right. And thank goodness that technology is opening up all these doors and throwing the windows open, and the wealthy
Well,
can't hide behind their private clubs anymore. That the world gets to know how to advance themselves and better their lives, and like you said, leave a legacy. And a
yeah,
legacy is money, but it's also
yeah,
exactly what you said. It's leaving a legacy of being a man of honor, a man of conviction, a man
yeah.
who dedicates his life to helping others. And I'm so, so grateful that I know you.
Yeah, thank you. I mean, for me, it's just really, it's time to get more seats at the table, and being at the
Yes.
table that people that you are not usually able to be at. And these clubs are broken up and they're forced to include new members.
I love it. I love it. Let's put a pin in this for just a moment, and I'm going to have
Yeah.
Paul say a few words about our sponsor.
Yay.
Wow. I don't even know where to jump in here. That's a lot to digest here. We got some grand ambitions flowing around this studio today here. But
We've
it's all
told
part
you.
of what we talk about all the time. You bring some amazing people. You have a network of people that amazes me. The reach of people goes beyond just appraisers and people that can help mortgage brokers and all the other typical things. You really look at it from a much higher view. And one of those that similarly looks at it from a higher view is our sponsor today, your friends at Ford and Dulio Law Firm. They're an Orange County-based boutique litigation law firm with experienced attorneys from the big law firm. So you get the big law experience, but in a much more personalized setting. Partners who founded the company did so on the idea of aligned interests, where their success is related to the value and results they achieve, not just how long they can drag out the litigation and run up the bills, where they're rewarded for being effective and efficient, and where they engage in the relentless pursuit of their clients' goals, whether in litigation, mediation, or trial. If that's something missing in your life, a simple way to resolve it, go to FordDiulio.com, FordDiulio.com, FordDiulio.com. So many questions to
I
ask this
knew it.
gentleman here.
I know.
I just got one here. We talked about how you came up with this. Where is it at again? It's at this, describe to me where it is in LA, because I can't picture this.
You mean the event?
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
because you moved it at the last minute from one place to another or whatever.
Oh my goodness. So, I mean, I don't know if we want to even get into that
No,
conversation.
no. Just where's it going to be?
So it is going to be in downtown Los Angeles, the Art District. We're the home of culture. And starts tomorrow, November 9th through the 11th. You can find more details on startupstarter.co/ECW, where you can get tickets. We have some really cool flash sales. And it's all about getting the people here. For us, it's the excitement around people seeing what they have the opportunity to be a part of.
And who comes? I mean, it seems like it
Oh,
could draw from a wide spectrum of people. You've got county
yeah,
supervisors there talking about
yeah,
housing, as you said, and equity in housing and on fairness in housing. We had the Orange County, the Fair Housing Council of Orange County on just moments ago here on another show, on our commercial real estate show. And that's a hot topic these days. What is fair housing? And is it a fair topic to talk about? Everybody has their own, it's kind of a loaded subject here. If you're on, like in the commercial show, the guy owns apartments. On the one hand, oh my goodness, everybody thinks I should just give everything away and everything should be free and you never have to pay your rent. On the other, and the other side, well, wait a minute, I don't think that, but I do think we've got to have housing for people other than just the uber wealthy. How are we all going to afford this? Who's different stratas and all this stuff here? So all those kinds of conversations are happening right now. And I don't know that anyone's got a handle on how to do this. I'll be curious to hear.
And back to your question, Paul, because that's a many splendored thing. And clearly,
Right.
Lorel is interested in fairness and equity for everybody. So are your attendees going to be like half business owners and half investors? Or what do you think that the mix is going to
Or
be
is
like?
it just young people like you guys fascinated by the future, or older people like me frightened of the future and wondering what the hell we're going to do and all this
Okay,
stuff?
no ageism here. Okay?
Let me tell you this. Equity crowdfunding is for everybody. It is 21 and up because we are serving alcohol and selling alcohol, but it is for everyone. My mom has flown in for this. My brother, my cousin has flown in for this. Your brother, your cousin, your mom, your dad should be seeing this. It is for everyone. It is for the current investor. It is for the VC to come check out, because there's a huge archaic model. What I see is that, the venture capital space can invest in this as well, right? We have different regulations. We can go into another time what these regulations are, but we're going to keep it simple for everybody today.
Thank you.
Equity crowdfunding is for everyone. Anyone should come. That's why we've created tickets for students. We have a new generation coming up, right? Gen Z. They are going to transform the way that we look at this world, the way that we do things, the way that we see technology, the way that we use technology, and they are enhancing that day after day with things like TikTok and all these different things, right?
Yes.
This is for everyone
Yes.
to take advantage of, and everyone should. We need to grow equity across our communities. So if you are a student, if you are a startup, if you are a janitor that is working at anywhere that you to have a janitor, they should be here, have the opportunity. We want to give people the knowledge and the information that they need. We have day passes. So if you are in Orange County and you're like, hey, I want to get up there and see this, like I only come up for one day, we have that available for you. And we have the coolest closing party that everyone should be at. You can get tickets just for that.
That's what Wendy said. She just wanted to go to the party, I think. Her.
That's the party.
But I guess what struck me is the wide range of topics that people are trying to raise through equity crowdfunding and have discussions about the things that they want to tackle, that they've gone to traditional VCs or outside the traditional VC or angel investor models. That
Exactly.
they've gone to friends and family, and now they're going out to the general community. That was supposed to be the excitement of equity crowdfunding when Obama passed it, as opposed to, what do we call it? It's kind of reward-based crowdfunding we've seen. You get a T-shirt if you support our movie or something.
Yeah.
I mean, think about this. We have set this up specifically so they can touch everyone's interest as well. So whether you are interested in clean tech, if you're interested in electric vehicles, if you're interested in ESG, cannabis, Web3, crypto, blockchain,
And housing. And there's some people really talking about how we can change the
Yes.
housing world. You've got some 4 or 5 companies there that are experimenting with different models of like fractional house owning and other sorts of crazy ideas. Yeah.
All that started this conversation, the fractional ownership of homes. But
Exactly.
You can have fractional ownership in assets and cars and all kinds of stuff, cards. You should come check this out because it has something for everyone.
So it sounds like you can learn about the future, even if you don't want to invest in the future. But then these are companies that are doing equity crowdfunding campaigns, and therefore everyday people can get involved.
And that's why it's 3 days. And good job, Lorel. I mean, the agenda really makes it clear and easy to understand what is happening when. So listeners, you need to go to startupstarter.co/ECW and check out the agenda, because it will show you what's happening each day. And it's there on that website where you can buy tickets to the various things in the various days, or just all of it. Like, I'll be there all the time. But also, too, if people can't go, there's a virtual opportunity, right, Lorel?
Oh yeah, there is a virtual opportunity. You can go to our website and you can click on the virtual link. You can register through that link,
Super.
and then you will be able to go directly into Eventbrite, and you can stream this live at no cost because again, it's our mission is to get this out and be seen by everyone. So
Love
check
it.
it out. But I strongly suggest coming in person. It's so cool,
The
guys.
synergy is going to be real. All
Yeah,
right. Well,
it's gonna be so cool.
let's just I could talk to you all day, Laurel, but I know I have to
I
let you
know.
go. So
I
before
know.
I let you go, I want to ask you a few just off-topic questions if you have a
Okay.
minute. Okay?
Yeah. Yeah.
So every week I do my own little version of the Vanity Fair Proust questionnaire. And question number 1, you already kind of hinted at it. Tell us where you live and what you love about living there.
I live in Los Angeles, California.
Hmm.
The reason why I love living in Los Angeles, I have lived in Florida, I've lived in DC, I've lived in Atlanta. I'm from Sacramento, California. I grew up in the Bay Area a lot as well. What I love about LA is the access to the mountains, to hiking, to getting out, the fresh air when it is fresh, and then, and then the opportunity that when if you come to LA, I moved to LA, you can come into LA and do and be whatever you want to be in LA.
Bravo. So
Yeah.
true. It's great.
Yeah.
All right. So if you have one, what is your most treasured possession?
My most treasured possession. So I love cars.
Me too, man.
So I'm a car guy. So I love my vehicle. I'm a BMW guy.
Nice.
So like I would say right now my most prized possession is that. And then my dog passed away recently after 19 years.
Mm.
And so like I had him cremated and I got his hair and all that. And so right now I'm really treasuring that because it happened in the midst literally a couple weeks ago of me putting this conference together. And I
Wow.
haven't had a moment to like soak in that piece because of everything. So
It is like losing a child. God
yeah,
love
yeah,
you.
yeah, he was my little baby.
Well, and you've got so much already under your belt, and I see so much runway in front of you. But if you were just to pause and say, what am I most proud of? What is my greatest achievement so far? What do you think that would be?
My greatest achievement, there are actually two. My greatest achievements are stepping out on faith and walking away from what made me comfortable
The
and
safety, yeah.
what gave me certainty, the safety net, and stepping out on faith to say, you know what, I can be an entrepreneur. I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur. I don't want anything to hold me back anymore, whether I become broke or any of that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
I will continue to go and make and better myself. And the other one would be I made a goal and a plan on my own to purchase my first home by the time that I was 30.
Hmm.
While I was 30, before I turned 31, I closed on my first property that I was able to build from the ground up. And
That's
now
awesome.
yeah, 6 years later, it is now an investment property for me all the way across country, and I'm able to rent it out to doctors who really need housing during their tenures in contracts near Johns Hopkins University. So
Go
that was a
you.
very for me, and I cherish that, and I love it.
It's the beginning of building your own wealth.
Yeah,
I have such regard for that. All right,
yeah.
and lastly, but
Dare to dream bigger.
I know, right? Truly, most importantly, though, is tell our listeners how they can get a hold of you or more information about Startup Starter and Equity Crowdfunding Week.
Yes, you can go to www.startupstarter.co. That's startupstarter.co/ECW. Check it out. It has everything that you need there right on the homepage. Get tickets. You can also follow us on Instagram and Twitter at startupstarter.co. You won't miss us. It is the S squared Startup Starter, where everyone can be a startup starter.
That's awesome. And people should just follow you anyway, because after this event,
Yeah.
they're going to want to continue to stay in touch anyway. So I
Look at my
encourage.
name and you'll find me. Lorel Scott, Lorel, last name Scott. You'll see the real of me on there. I love my friends. I love my dog. I love just enjoying life. And I kind of keep it separate from my business. And you get to just see who I am and the real from this conversation.
The real human being.
Yeah.
Such respect. I have so much love. I can't wait to hang out with you for the next few days. So
Yeah, I can't wait for you to come either. I can't wait to meet you in person and covering this in
She's
person.
got blue hair, though, you know. She's got some blue
Hey,
hair.
blue, green, whatever. What
he's
is,
been
be you.
forewarned, right?
So yeah,
There's no
like your media
judgment.
friend, media channel. Media, come and check this out.
Yeah, I get to be a creative. So yeah, well, I'm going to have to wrap it, but there's going to be so much more to talk about and so many more recordings. And I have such excitement for this week, for the rest of this week. So thank you, Mr. Lorel. Thank you, Mr. Scott.
Absolutely. No, thank you for having me. Thank you for furthering these conversations. Thank you for what you do in the real estate space to create awareness. And thank you for just highlighting me in these important topics that we have going on. I appreciate you both.
Thank you so much. All right, so that's a wrap. For those of you who love listening to us and listen to us again and again, you can listen to This Week with Wendy wherever you most like to hear your podcasts. You can also follow me on Instagram. I'm The Real Wendy Ross.
Okay, that's how we do it. Wow.
Yeah.